Oh, there it goes. Whew. I should make sure I mute my computer. That's fun for now. Trying something a little different this week. You know, 36, 34, what? Yeah, trying something different. I'm actually using my airsoft helmet to live stream. I don't know why the stream on my phone is like 4 minutes behind. So, update since last stream. Still working on clearing this spot up so I can start storing some stuff up here. Our house is always messy, but it's just how it is. So since last stream, I'm just gonna restart the. Yeah, it's like 5 minutes behind. Finished up the left forearm. Got the gray paint here, did some more detail paint, and I think it came out really good. There's obviously some cracking right here, which I could probably fix, but my plan is to basically get everything done and then go back and remake the parts that I'm not happy with. This, not happy with, so I'm gonna eventually probably sand this down and repaint this area and Bondo that to make it look better. Eventually, though, I do want to, you know, I want to finish everything else before I spend, you know, 500 days working on just one part. I got my super glue. So last week we primered this, and I still have some primer I got to get on here, so I got to primer the back of that. We'll probably do that today. And I got this super glued in there. It's pretty solid. Next is just to put some Bondo around this gap and sand this smooth, and then primer that. Maybe I'll get to that today. I don't know, because I'm putting this stuff aside for the moment. The project I've been working on the past couple days, right after the last stream, I started working on this part here. Now this I've had done for a while. In fact, before last week, this is the front piece right here. This is the piece that goes behind this metal plate, behind that plate there. I'm walking in my bathroom because it's the only mirror I've got. It's this piece right here. And it's just made, this was actually really, really easy. It's just made with 2 pieces of craft foam. I basically made a template and glued them together and then wrapped Warbler around it. I like that the Warbler's there. It's hard. You know, that doesn't feel like I'm putting my hand on foam. That's in the material. Now there's going to be a layer of, like, I might plastic dip this, but I'm definitely going to paint this piece. At least going to paint it to kind of give it a different appearance. Or maybe I'll just leave it like that. I'm not sure. You know, we'll see how it looks as I start assembling. Eventually, I want to glue some magnets like here and here, so that way this trauma plate, this big chest piece right here, this piece right here, not that little bag, but like this plate underneath it, so it can just snap on there. And the idea is I eventually want to make like 4 or 5. I'll just move my roommate's flip-flops out of the way before I trip over them. I want to make like 4 or 5 of those plates to, you know, be interchangeable, so I can swap them out and have, you know, a different style one. I really want to do like one where it's like one per each convention I go to, and like go to like a big convention and have somebody big and famous like sign the plate, or a bunch of people do it, and then it's like that plate just hangs on my wall, becomes a wall hanger. This is the back piece, and it's made out of a lot of different pieces of foam. The template that I printed out actually had these big openings right here, and I had to fill them in with this. So it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of foam. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6. It's been thermal shaped, so I heated it up and shaped it, and it's held in with some glue. But I wasn't happy with it. There was a gap here, and there were seams and stuff, and some people said, oh, you can sand that down, and you can use some filler stuff on there. And then my roommate was like, I was getting really, really frustrated last week while working on this. My roommate's like, use some silicone caulk. That'll work. That'll fill it. You can sand it and paint it. And I said, okay. Put it on there, and you can see where I sanded it. All it's doing when I go to sand it is it just peels off like a really bad sunburn. And I was like really frustrated with it. And I just sat there for like 2 hours one night, just not happy with it. I tried doing Warbler, and that really didn't turn out well. In fact, let me go grab, I have the 2 pieces here. So Warbler is a thermoplastic. You heat it up and it will shape and hold its shape. This is the first piece, and it went like this. And it ripped. This was ripped when I took it off in this, but you can see it folded over here, holes formed here, it creased really bad all along the edges, it melted up here, it looked bad. And then on top of that, it took the shape of all these little bumps right here. You can kind of see there in the light, and I was just not happy with that. So then I made a second attempt, and I think second attempt started to go better until I got to this part here, and I think my mistake was I started up here and went down like this. When I got to here, as I was trying to fold this down, it just kept creasing, and you can see it's creased here, it melted here, and all I'm doing is just going across with my heat gun. And I was getting really frustrated, and I pulled this one off. So these 2 pieces are just kind of like scrap material. I have another project in mind for them, so I'm going to they just sit there. They just live in the corner for now. So I really wanted to avoid using foam, craft foam on this. The idea is I want to have that solid feel. And I feel like putting foam on top of foam, it's still gonna feel like foam. But I decided, you know what, hell with it. Stopped at the Joann's the other day, and I got a big old roll of craft foam. And so, got the roll of craft foam, and I even had this this foam clay for cosplay. I saw this and I grabbed the bucket, and then as I was walking out the door, I dropped it and cracked the bucket. But I'm like, whatever. It's in a bag. It's still in there. I haven't even opened that up. That's gonna be a fun experiment time. So let's just. Okay, and actually, one of the things I can do. Let's try this. Ugh. I think that works. That would work. That works as long as we're not doing any 3D printing. I could feel my head getting really sweaty under the helmet because it's kind of hot in here. So I'm just gonna kind of move some of this stuff around real quick and get ready. I bought some more clips. These are just parachute clips. These are gonna be going over the shoulders, and I've got some more that I'm gonna put on the inside. So hopefully by the end of today, I should be able to at least clip this piece to the front piece, and then maybe have the shoulder straps started. I have the shoulder straps started. I haven't started. I'm not happy with them. So I'm going to, yeah, maybe have the shoulder straps, get some work done on the shoulder straps. I do only do this stream for about 2 hours because it's about as much energy as I have to put into it, especially on my day off. And I want to be like, all right, I streamed for a few hours. I'm going to now take a break and do something else. And I realized I left some of my stuff on this table and it's not here. I'll have to check with my roommates later. I had some more of these parachute buckles, and I left them on the dining room table because I was like, I'm just gonna set this stuff down here, and I don't know where it went. Maybe I put it back in the garage. I don't know. I won't worry about that right now. I'll find that later. So what I want to do today, just kind of try to clear up the workspace a little bit so I got a little more room. And then when I'm done, I'm actually going to clear all this up because I think other people want to work on that spot. So what I want to do today is get the foam started in the back. And what I'm gonna try doing is I'm actually going to start back here. Put the foam here and then lay it out like this, so that way it gets this shape first. Because trying to do this shape last has, I think, been my issue the 2 times I've tried doing anything. So what I'm going to do, how am I going to do this? I need to make a template of this piece here that I can then lay out flat to cut on the foam to then put on here. How do I do that though? Like I've got like little bits of foam dust and I'm just like sweep, sweep, sweep. Doing any kind of project, I can't recommend enough these red shop rags. Just get a package of them. You don't have to wash them, you just throw them away if they get too dirty or gross or whatever. What I could do is I could take that sheet of warble and use that and just draw an oversized template. That would work. And then I could just trim the excess. Let's try that. I have enough of that craft foam, and that's actually way cheaper than the Warbler, that I can do that. This isn't a perfect template, but it'll work. It'll do what I need it to do. And actually, let's be smart about this. The craft foam's way cheaper than the Warbler. almost need a new blade for this knife. I could feel it like being really dull. I can still cut into the foam, but yeah, it's like $60 for a spool of Warbler, a roll of it, and it's like $6 for a roll of this. So if I screw up on this, it's not that big a deal. And I bought 2 rolls. And I always just go out later this afternoon and buy more when I go out later anyways. So, oh yeah, that moves much easier than the Warbler did. And that'll cover everything. Need to go get a couple things. It's really hot and humid. It's been that way the last couple of days. And I'm like, I'm sitting here just dripping with sweat down before. That's why I took the helmet off. I want to wear the helmet so that way I could be like, look. I could be doing like this. I could actually be going. Look. But then it's like my head is wet. My head is very wet. I'm like, all right, maybe I can go grab my fan. I got a little fan. I had that blowing on me. Could also go put my shorts on, but how am I going to? I need to get my extension cord. There we go. Better. Right up until I need to like use that extension cord for something else, like a hot glue gun or something. What I'm kind of doing now, right now, is I'm using just pressing this down by hand to make sure that it's not going to fold in any way that may not be good. Yeah, that'll work. And if not, I can peel it off and try again. I'm not going to use like hardcore super glue on this. Quick light dusting, some spray adhesive, let it kind of tanky up a bit. Now, the other day while I was putting the caulking on here and trying to sand it, I used this blue painter's tape to kind of help it keep its shape. I have to peel this off though because we're gluing this down now. I'm making sure to firmly press all along this foam right here. Make sure it's down there nice and smooth and that it's getting good adhesion with that spray adhesive. Now I have thermal shaped this kind of foam before. I made this little piece right here, and this is my first attempt at making the elbow pad for the now 3D printed part, but I kept it just as a practice to kind of get an idea of how to use the heat gun to shape this craft foam. And I actually really, you know, first try, I think I did pretty good. There are some like little blemishes in there, but from the surface, that actually looks good. And actually, I think even the way I put this down, I just put globs of hot glue and smeared them around with the foam while it was still hot, and just kept melting the glue out of it. So we'll actually be able to use heat gun to better shape this. But actually, I think it's taking that shape pretty good right there on its own. Like, I don't think I'm going to need to use any heat on that. Maybe like to roll the edges like this, but I had to go sit down for a second. Go answer a message on the computer. I think I'm going to press forward with this. Short little sprays of adhesive. I don't need much. Gentle pull and press. If I flatten this out a little bit during this process, I can always reheat it back up, reshape it. I got a little bit of that on my hands. I really like this table that my roommates built because it's pretty solid. Like, this panel actually folds down, and it's a whole cabinet. There's storage space underneath, so we could put all these paint and craft supplies underneath it and then close this panel. And this panel's actually held up by just like 1/2 inch diameter, I think. Put my hand around it, I'm like, that's about a 1/2 inch, maybe. Maybe it's 1 inch diameter steel pipe that just threads into a piece on the bottom. And they specifically built it with this workbench area just to be torn up, and I'm still putting down a cutting mat to keep from cutting it up too much. And actually, it's also like it's easier to cut on this than it is on the wood, because then the knife will bounce across the wood grain, whereas this cutting mat, it doesn't. I'm literally just kind of rolling the foam, hoping it doesn't crease. If it creases, though, the foam is a little easier to work creases out than the warble is. Because the warble basically welds itself to. It melts enough that it becomes a liquid glob. Just trying to like figure out the best way to press this down. Smooth it out as I go. It's nice, the foam has some stretch too. So, whereas the warble, it stretches, but it stretches more like melted cheese. Whereas this stretches more like a rubber band. Weird adhesion here where it's like it's sticking to the glue, good, but it's also sticking to that caulk, which isn't sticking to the foam, so that's peeling up. So I'm like, alright, let's just do a quick layer of spray glue, since I think some of that glue is actually setting up. So I'm pulling this ever so slightly to hopefully get it to like stretch. And actually what I can do is I can just clamp. No, that's not going to go anywhere, and I can work on. I don't need that to move. We have to get some heat involved. It's moving exactly how I want it to move, but it's also not. And if I heat it up a little bit, it'll form a little better. Find something here. Find something here. The one problem with this workbench is like I'm tall. It doesn't quite. I'm a little too tall for it. So after about an hour of streaming with the GoPro to the server thingy that I have set up, it will just stop. And then when it does, it reverts back to showing my desktop. Hey, it's back. Yay. Hey, it's back. Yay. I have no idea why it does that. I have no idea why it does that. I have no idea why it does that. Alright, so apply heat here. You actually can see that the foam changes color when you heat it up. So after I'm all done, I'm actually going to heat it once to kind of smooth it all out. It doesn't even need to be that hot. Like the Warbler, which you basically got to get hot enough to burn your hands. I'm just heating it up enough that it becomes a little more malleable. So I can work some of these bumps out, right? Like this one right here. Still not happy with it, but it's going down so much better than the Warbler did. I'm just waiting for this to cure a little bit. I want that glue to get good and stuck. And then I can roll it over. Won't got any bumps. And actually, that's looking really good. Now I need to work on this side a little bit. I'm gonna put that binder clip there. It's gonna make me feel more comfortable about life and everything. I can tag it for a minute first. I say I live stream this for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then I turn around, go get lunch, and then come back and usually work on it on my own for a bit. That's been kind of my routine these last couple times streaming this. Thing is, like, streaming it I think is actually really helping me just keep focused on working on it. Like, I can make stream and YouTube content, because I send this to YouTube afterwards. I can make stream and YouTube content all in one go while also doing something that I actually enjoy doing. It's just, I've said it a few times, I lost my motivation with COVID and everything, and killing shutting down all the conventions and stuff. So, but, and even then, even with conventions coming back, it's still, like, hard for me to want to work on this, because when am I gonna, because of my work schedule, it's like, you're very rarely going to be able to actually go to a convention with this. So, no, that was right in my face. Look, I was holding my breath. These Bible clips are a lifesaver as well, because I can just go, then just fold this over. Boom, that shouldn't move too much. Alright, I'm going to let this glue cure for a bit, and then we'll come back and I'll heat this and shape it. But I'm actually, that is way better than the Warbler ever looked. Yes, there are some creases here and there we'll have to work out. But it actually seems like this will be a lot easier to work out than the Warbler was. So, let me go grab some chemicals. Before I do that, though, unplug the heat gun and move it out of the way. And plug the fan back in. So on multiple occasions last week, I was looking for my bottle of super glue. I could not find it. I dug through all of my boxes of supplies, checked through my desk, could not find my bottle of super glue. So I went and got another one. I went to go, one of the boxes that I completely emptied while looking for it. Right? To grab the Bondo, and the hardener, a paint cup, and my spoon. I found my bottle of super glue. I could not find this bottle for almost a full week. And in the box where I knew one of the places where I knew I would have left it, the box that I went through on multiple occasions and could not find it in there, I find it in there the day after I buy another bottle. Oh, and the buckles that I said, oh man, I can't find these buckles. I need to find these buckles. Where did these buckles go? I found them. They were in the box of other stuff. So, got the Bondo out. Got a little cup to mix everything in. Got my hardener. Got my Bondo. Got my Bondo spoon. Got the part I want to put some Bondo on. I just need a mixing stick. And we're good to go. One of the things I like to do when I'm working with Bondo is I have the spoon for scooping it out of the bucket or the can, but I always use a disposable stick to stir it. A lot of times I just get like a McDonald's cup straw, you know, something that if I get, you know, when I get covered in all the Bondo, I'm not going to fret about. Today, I'm using, because I'm only going to be making up a small batch, just a couple of toothpicks held together with some masking tape to kind of give it a little more shape and rigidity. I was sure to put on there differently, but whatever. It'd be like this sometimes. It's just something quick and easy and something that I know I can just, when I'm done with it, throw it away and not be out, you know, a spoon. Eventually that spoon will get cleaned. Eventually. Someday. Not today, but someday. Alright. The advantage of the helmet cam. I can just put it on like this. We can all go on this adventure together. I live right next to a grocery store, and they get deliveries throughout the week. Oh, there's a lizard. One of these days, I'm going to go through all this cardboard and clean it all up. Today's not that day. This is actually my roommate's mess. She put that all there after buying a whole bunch of stuff, and then haven't really done anything with it. I think that'll be my project for tomorrow. Is I'll come out here with my circular saw, just cut all this cardboard up into little pieces and throw it in the recycle bin, and then the same with that stuff over there. But that's not the project we're working on today. Today we're working on my armor still. So I'm just going to put a block of wood down. I'm actually working right here in the shade. We're going to take a little mixing cup, the piece we want to work on, spoon. The reason why I don't use this spoon to mix is I don't ever want to get hardener in this bucket, or in this can. So I use the spoon to scoop it out, and only to scoop it out. And we can see that it is gotta get mixed up a little bit here. You get some moisture in there and it gets gooey like that, and just gotta remix all the stuff. And I'm doing this outside. It's like you should always, if you're gonna do anything with Bondo, at least while it's still wet, do it in a well ventilated area. Yeah. If you absolutely have to work inside of a house with this stuff, like in a room or whatever, make sure you got a window open with a fan blowing air out, and maybe another fan somewhere else blowing air in. Ideally, you'd put one window in the, or you'd open up a window, put one fan in the window blowing out, and then one in your doorway blowing in to pull air from the house in and all the fumes out. That's if you absolutely have to be like in your dining room or whatever. Like, I would do that here if it wasn't like 100+ degrees outside and I didn't have a roommate home right now who works from home. But because I have a roommate who works from home and he's home and I don't want to have windows and doors open and be venting gas stuff in there, I'm like, I'm just going to close the door or do this outside. Ideally, like, the best work spot you could do this in is if you have access to like a garage. If your house has a garage, just do it in there. You know, pop the door open, give yourself a fan, put some music on. You don't need a whole lot. I'm gonna grab a paper towel real quick to wipe the spoon off. If I really wanted to do that indoors, I could open that window, put this fan blowing that way, and then like open up that screen door into our sliding door to the outside. I could open that up and have, you know, air flowing through the house in that direction, but really don't want to. Now, again, I'm not going to mix the hardener with the spoon because I don't want to inadvertently get a whole bunch of hardener in there. Now, if you've never worked with Bondo, it is a 2-part compound. This will almost always, it'll get tacky like glue, and it'll eventually will harden, but this stuff is great for, it's body filler. So if you're working on a car, you got some rust on the car, you can use this to patch it up. You can also use it on 3D prints like this. It is a 2-part compound. So you got the filler itself, and it comes with this little tube of cream hardener. You don't need a lot. Like, for how little I've made right here, you can see how little I've got. And that was too much, and the hardener just came out liquid. That was probably too much hardener. I may actually need a new bottle because this bottle is kind of old. Yep, there. That's actually way too much hardener. It should be for about a spoonful like that. You want like a chocolate chip, a little dab about the size of chocolate chip out of a chocolate chip cookie. You're gonna mix it together, and it's gonna turn pink. And you're gonna, depending on how much hardener you put in there, you're gonna have about 15 minutes to work with this stuff. You can get this on your hands. It's not recommended because it is, you know, pretty harmful chemicals. They're not gonna like burn your skin off, poison you. Don't eat it, obviously, and wash your hands afterwards. But it is a thermal reaction. The Bondo actually curing with that hardener is a thermal reaction, so it will get warm. and it's not going to get hot enough to melt a 3D print, but it is going to get, you know, you're going to feel it if you get it as it cures and it gets on your hands. So, in fact, before I finish, because I know what I'm about to do. And part of what it is I started doing this, and I'm like, oh, I forgot. I bought more gloves. Actually, oh, this is a rookie mistake. Bondo rookie mistake. No gloves and no prep. I forgot to put gloves on. One of the things too, you should always, you know, because Bondo has a very short working time from once you put that hardener in to, you know, it's done, it's hard. In fact, this is already getting tacky. I put too much hardener in. Is prep. Make sure you have all your tools and everything. Oh, yeah, I put way too much hardener in there. That is already useless. Prep, and more preparation. Make sure you have all your tools and supplies you're going to need right then and there, because this stuff sets up quick. Especially if you put too much hardener in, it'll take a long time. It'll set really fast, and you have a really short working time. If you don't put enough in, it may take a couple days to cure. So you just go ahead and mix up another batch. Mistakes happen. I think also, like, the thing you should always be cognizant of, or, you know, as you're working with hardener or working with Bondo, is small batches. Don't mix up like a gallon of the stuff. Just there. That is the appropriate amount of hardener for that. Yeah, just mix up a very small batch, because you can always make more if you run out. If you don't make enough in your first batch, you can always make more. And because they are color coded, the chemicals are color coded, you get the hardener, at least with mine, it's red, and the Bondo itself is just gray. You mix it up until it's not swirly anymore. You want to make sure you get all of that hardener mixed in, as much of that hardener as you can mixed in with that Bondo. Get rid of all the swirls. Really get it in there. I'm just going to put coating along here. And I'm wearing gloves, so I'm not afraid to just use my hands. And you want to firmly press it in there, because you want it into those gaps and those cracks. You kind of want to smooth it out as much as you can before you sand it, because then it's less sanding you have to do later. It is body filler, not body cover. You want to fill the body. And you do want to build up, on one hand you want to fill those gaps, and you want to make it smooth so it's less sanding later on. But at the same time, you want to build up a little bit of a layer, because you want to have more material than you need. So that way you can basically sand down to where you want to be leveled off at and everything, instead of trying to sand and build up, you know, come back multiple times. So you build up a layer and then you work your way down. And I'm putting some here on the inside and pressing it in there to basically fill that seam on the inside. But also this is going to give a little, hopefully give a little more rigidity to the internal structure of this. And you can see I've already put some Bondo on in one pass. I'm just doing another pass to kind of touch up. And you know what? I have a little bit more here, so I'm just going to... I really don't want this piece to ever like come off. So I'm actually using it a little bit like glue as well. Just smear it in there, smooth it out. This is all the internal side. No one's ever really going to see this, but I'm also going to try and I want to try and fill this ugly spot here on the back here. And it's not quite working how I want it to, but I can fix that later. Well, that's that. Let's go ahead and peel the gloves off. Cleaning up is pretty easy. Just paper towel, wipe off this excess. Let that sit outside for a few minutes to kind of, because as it cures, it off gases. There's stuff that comes out of the mix. The last thing I want is to bring that inside while it's still off gassing. I'm gonna go wash my hands before I do anything else. I can feel like sweat dripping down my face from the helmet and everything, and I'm like, ugh. You can't even see it on my face. Oof. Now wash your hands with soap and get the like that orange pumice soap, because it'll get any of that hardener off. Last thing you want to do is touch your face, especially if you've got like a beard like I have, and get Bondo in it. Because then the only thing you can really do is, especially once it starts to harden, is just let it fully harden. And once it's fully hard, then, and only then, can you pull it off. Can you actually like get up in there and peel it off. This is that charcoal gray is what I've been using for the light gray details. I'm gonna hit this with some primer while that cures. Actually, I want to get the underside of it today. I want to get all these spots that the underside here that I missed. I'm like, how am I going to hold it without getting paint all over myself? That'll work. This is just a coated primer. That's just a coat of filler primer to basically, filler primer. Should wear my shorts. Bondo has a really short work time, so I should put hardener in there. This is already, it's warm to the touch, which is telling me that it is still thermally reacting, and curing. But it's Bondo. You can basically, it's done and ready to be worked within 20 minutes. Or with how hot it is here, I can at least start hitting this with some primer. We're gonna get this good quick coat of primer on here. It's my AC unit. Now you notice I'm pointing the can here and then going across. That's that way there's any spittle that comes out, because some schmoo will sit right here on the nozzle. That's basically to clear the nozzle before I actually hit it with the paint, before the paint starts coming out. And then I go past, so I'm starting here and then going across. That's again to make sure that there's no spittle or whatever on the end of that nozzle. I see so many people just go like that, and it's like, ugh. Nothing wrong with that, it's just the way that I was taught to paint. There's a light right there. Now that does look like crap right now, and that's because I've got the filler primer and the Bondo without any sanding. And in my opinion, that's a totally okay way to do it. You could do it in one go like that. And when that cures, it'll be a lot easier to sand, or not easier, it'll just be a little more, what's the word? It's killing two birds with one stone. I mean, I'm heat exhaustion here, boys. Heat exhaustion. It's almost lunchtime. So this is, yep. Yes, I just did the sniff check. If I can still very strongly smell that's off-gassing paint, it's off-gassing paint and not ready to be brought in. Why did I put it right there? Is the problem work? Well, I know I put it there. I want to get the primer on these pieces, but I'm probably not going to start sanding them today. I'll probably save sanding them for tomorrow. It'll be either tomorrow or maybe tonight, you know, when I'm not streaming. Since this one's still a little tacky, I'm going to put it right here. The problem with how hot it here is here in Vegas working on this stuff is things melt in the sun. That's one of the reasons why, and I'm just going to be doing some cleanup now because we've got about 10-15 minutes left of the stream. It's one of the reasons why my plan when I actually get this done to wear it is to basically get dressed, or like go to work, right? Come home, get dressed in armor, then Uber to the bar or wherever I'm going. But I can pull a little lotion on my hands because my hands get all dry and weird. There's my desk. Everything's a mess. It is what it is. And my tentative plan is to, you know, Uber to, you know, put everything on at home and then Uber to the bar or whatever. So I don't need that for a while. I'm going to put it back in there. If I'm Ubering to the bar or whatever, So that way my armor isn't sitting in the car melting all day. My armor isn't in a duffel bag that I might lose at fandom. Or I might lose a part because I took off a piece and set it down and forgot to pick it back up. I think with that space over there cleared up, and the way I have it now, I think I'm going to get a spot to store some of these things while I'm working on them. They're not always on this table. Now let's see how this turns out. Clamps, they left little marks in there, but those marks will come out with time. Especially if I start heating this up and shaping it a little more by hand, which I'll probably start here in a few minutes. But I'm gonna start after lunch, but that won't be a streamed thing. Other than like this corner right here, and like right up here, where the foam, where I didn't quite, like all of this seems like it's shifted a little too far to the right. I'm actually really happy with that, and I think I'm going to continue working on this. I may have to peel this piece off and do another piece, but if I do, I at least know that it does in fact work, and works really well. In fact, you know what, hell with it. Heat gun time. I'm gonna put my heat gun on. I'm gonna get some more of these creases out. I just set the heat gun down on the floor because the floor is tile, and it's not going to melt a ceramic tile. Wow. Actually, like there's still some lines, but like this spot's going to be covered up by another piece anyways. But I'm seriously impressed with how that right there looks. Like that looks really, I mean this little bump right here, that's all going to be covered up. There's a piece that goes over that, so I'm not too concerned about that. But like right here, that looks good. This craft foam cools faster than the Warbler does too. I'm actually, oh man, I'm actually really happy. It doesn't look good. It does not look good at the moment, but I'm still really happy with how this is going. But I am at that point where I need to break for lunch. Now I'm going to keep working on this on Tuesdays like this. I know it's probably not a convenient time for people who want to watch this kind of content, but it's a time that works for me. And you know, that's one of the things when you work weekends. You kind of have to like you gotta do what works for you. I'm just reading a text message while holding down a piece that's gluing. I want to make sure, I want to try and this edge of the foam here, I want to at least have this folded over that edge. So even, like, all this is going to be covered by other pieces of armor or fabric or something, and it's going to be dark where I'm wearing it for the most part. But I still want to, I want to cover the any instance of seeing this edge, because look at how smooth that is now compared to like it's jagged. And I could sand that and probably fill that with stuff. I don't know. I think that looks more like one uniform piece. Right? I think that looks better. I'm actually, it's still not as rigid as I would have liked, but my plan also is to basically fill this piece in with another piece of foam, like another layer or two of puzzle mat like this, just to kind of build it up to give it more rigidity right here. So when I do sit down, I'm not flexing all of this, because I'm, like I said, I'm going to be sitting in cars. This is on my back. Like I have to protect it somehow. But I'm gonna let all this glue cure. I'm gonna cool down for a little bit because I'm dripping with sweat. Man, it's hot in here. And get some lunch, and then I'm gonna come back and work on this some more. But I probably won't be streaming that if I'm. In fact, I won't, because I don't like streaming after a certain time. I'm gonna go. I kind of have to wait for like the GoPro to finish catching up. Yeah, that's gonna be it for the day. I'm really happy with the progress that I made. I'm gonna keep making some progress later. I'll post a link in the description of the YouTube video if you're watching this on YouTube, and I'll probably post a link next time I stream to the 405th webpage forum where I kind of document this build process. If you guys want to see that, then that will be there. As well.